My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the steering wheel. I know that sounds dramatic, but I swear to God, it's true. Here I was at 1:30 in the morning driving a car that wasn't mine, with a girl I'd been secretly into for 6 months, passed out in the passenger seat, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing with my life. Let me start over because this whole thing is insane. My name's Tyler, and I'm 24. I work at this tech startup in Austin, doing something with data analytics that I still don't fully understand, even after a year of being there. The job's fine, the people are cool, and up until 3 hours ago, my biggest concern in life was whether I should finally upgrade my gaming setup or keep saving money like a responsible adult. Then there's Brianna. Well, Brianna's 22, and she started at our company last spring right after graduation. She works in marketing, which is on the same floor as my team, so we see each other constantly. And look, I'm not the kind of guy who falls for coworkers because that's messy, and I like keeping my job. But something about her just got to me from day one. It wasn't even like she's movie star gorgeous or anything. I mean, she's pretty, really pretty. But it was more about how she made everything feel lighter. Like she'd walk into the break room while I'm having the worst day, and suddenly I'd remember that life doesn't have to be so serious all the time. She does this thing where she scrunches her nose when she's thinking hard about something, and honestly, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. We were work friends. That's it. But we'd eat lunch with the group sometimes, send each other dumb TikToks in the company Slack, make small talk about weekend plans. But there was always this tension underneath that I couldn't tell if I was imagining or not. Like sometimes our eyes would meet across the office, and she'd smile, and I'd feel it in my chest. You know that feeling, where you're pretty sure something's there, but you're too scared to do anything about it because what if you're wrong? So yeah, that's where things stood until tonight. Our company threw this big party at a bar downtown because apparently we hit some sales goal that the executives were excited about. I almost skipped it. My roommate Marcus had to physically pull me off the couch because I was fully planning to stay home and play Elden Ring all night. Dude, you can't keep hiding in this apartment, he said while I was protesting. You work with actual human beings. Go be social. Who knows, maybe something interesting will happen. I should have known Marcus has a sixth sense for these things. The bar was absolutely packed when we got there around 8. The entire company was there, and the music was so loud I could feel the bass in my bones. I grabbed a beer and found a spot near the back where I could observe without actually having to talk to anyone, because that's the sweet spot at these things. I was checking my phone when someone grabbed my arm. Tyler, oh my God, you actually came. It was Brianna, and she was holding 2 shot glasses and smiling so wide her whole face lit up. And she had her hair down, which I'd literally never seen before, because at work, she always has it in this messy bun. And she was wearing this dark green dress that made her eyes look almost amber in the dim bar lighting, and I forgot how to form words for a solid 3 seconds. Yeah, Marcus convinced me, I said, trying to act normal. What's that? Tequila shots! Come on, we're celebrating! She shoved one of the glasses into my hand. Now I hate tequila. It tastes like gasoline and bad decisions. But she was looking at me with those eyes, and there was no universe where I was gonna say no. We clinked the glasses together, and I threw it back, and immediately regretted every choice I'd ever made. It burned all the way down, and I had to physically stop myself from making a face. Brianna laughed. Well, you totally hate it, don't you? What? No, I love it. Best thing I've ever tasted. Your left eye is twitching. That's just a thing it does. She laughed harder and touched my arm, and I swear I felt electricity run through my whole body. Then she grabbed my hand and pulled me toward this booth in the corner. Come sit with me. Everyone else is being boring. So we sat, and we talked, and it was the easiest conversation I've ever had in my life. She told me about growing up in San Antonio with her super protective Italian mom and her 2 younger brothers, who apparently torture her on a daily basis. I told her about my tiny hometown in Colorado, where everyone knows everyone, and how I moved to Austin 2 years ago with basically nothing, because I needed to get out and do something different. Time just disappeared. It looked like we started talking at 8:30 and suddenly it was past midnight and my beer was warm and I hadn't even noticed. She got up to grab us more drinks, and when she came back, she was walking a little unsteady. That's when I realized she'd been drinking way more than me. Her words were starting to run together just slightly, and she kept laughing at things that weren't that funny. "Tyler," she said, sitting down really close to me, like our legs were touching close. "Can I tell you something?" My heart started pounding. Yeah, of course. She bit her lip and looked down at her drink. Okay. So don't make fun of me. But I've kind of thought you were really cute since like my first week at the company, and I've been trying to figure out if you felt the same way, but you're always so quiet and professional, and I can never tell. And oh my God, I cannot believe I just said that out loud. I'm so drunk. I'm pretty sure my brain stopped working, like completely flatlined. This girl who I'd been thinking about constantly for months just told me she thought I was cute, and I was just sitting there with my mouth open like a complete idiot. She put her face in her hands. "Oh no, 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 no. Forget I said that. Pretend that didn't happen." "Wait," I finally managed to say. My voice came out weird and strangled. "Brianna, I think you're cute too, like really cute. And I've thought that for a while I just didn't want to make things awkward at work." She looked up at me through her fingers. "Seriously?" Seriously. The smile that spread across her face was worth every awkward moment of the last 6 months. We just sat there grinning at each other like complete idiots, and I felt like I was in a movie or something. This doesn't happen to guys like me. This kind of thing happens to other people. Then she leaned her head on my shoulder and sighed. "I think I drank way too much." "Yeah, you might have. Will you make sure I get home okay? I don't trust anyone else." And that's how I ended up driving her car at 1 in the morning with her half asleep in the passenger seat, trying to give me directions to her apartment. Except the directions made no sense. She kept telling me to turn at places that didn't exist and arguing with the GPS. And finally, she just curled up against the window and mumbled, "Just go to 423 Maple Street." I punched it into my phone and drove. The neighborhood was quiet, just rows of small houses with porch lights on. When I pulled up to the address she'd given me, she opened her eyes and looked around all confused. "Tyler, why are we at my mom's house?" "You told me 423 Maple Street." "I live on Maple Avenue. Those are different streets." She started giggling that drunk giggle where everything is hilarious. "Oh my God, I gave you my childhood address. I haven't lived here in like 2 years. I dropped my head against the steering wheel. "Okay, so where's your actual apartment?" But before she could answer, the porch light got brighter, and the front door swung open. A woman stepped out, and even from the car, I could see she looked pissed. "Oh shit," Brianna whispered. "That's my mom. Tyler, I'm so sorry." The woman walked straight to the car and knocked on the passenger window. Brianna rolled it down, looking absolutely terrified. "Brianna Marie Costa," the woman said, and her voice had that mom tone that makes you feel like you're 6 years old again. "Do you want to explain to me why you're here at 1:30 in the morning?" "Hi, Mama," Brianna said, in the smallest voice I'd ever heard. So funny story. "And who is this?" Her eyes landed on me and I felt like I was being x-rayed. "This is Tyler, from work. He was driving me home, but I accidentally gave him your address instead of mine because I'm an idiot." Brianna's mom studied me for a long moment. I tried to smile, but it probably came out looking terrified, because that's exactly how I felt. Then she sighed and opened the passenger door. "All right out, both of you. Well, you're not going anywhere else tonight." "Mama, I'm fine," Brianna protested. "Tyler can just take me to my place. You can barely stand up straight, and this boy looks exhausted. Come inside." I started to say I was fine to drive, but honestly, I was exhausted. The adrenaline from everything with Brianna was wearing off, and I could feel how tired I actually was. Brianna looked back at me with this apologetic expression. "You really don't have to, Tyler. You can just go home." But something made me turn off the car and get out. Maybe because I didn't want to leave her. Maybe because her mom seemed like the kind of person you don't argue with. Maybe because some part of me was curious about what would happen next. I followed them into the house. It was cozy inside, family photos covering every wall, and the smell of something Italian that had been cooked for dinner still hanging in the air. Mrs. Costa got Brianna settled on the couch with a blanket and a big glass of water. Brianna was already half asleep, still in her green dress, her makeup smudged. Then Mrs. Costa turned to me and looked me up and down like she was deciding something. "So, you work with my daughter," she said. "Yes, ma'am." My voice came out scratchy. "We're on the same floor at the office. And you made sure she got home safe tonight, even though she gave you the wrong address. I just wanted to make sure she was okay." She nodded slowly, and I still couldn't read her face at all. My heart was beating so fast, I was sure she could hear it. Then she said the last thing I expected. "Would you like to stay?" I actually took a step back. "Cool, I'm sorry, what?" "Stay here tonight. It's late, you're tired, and I'd feel horrible sending you back out on the roads like this. We have a guest room upstairs. You can sleep there, and in the morning I'll make breakfast, and you can both head out when you're rested." My brain couldn't process what was happening. This woman I'd met 10 minutes ago was inviting me to spend the night in her house with her drunk daughter passed out on the couch, and I had no idea if this was some kind of test, or if she was serious, or what the hell was going on. "I don't want to impose," I said weakly. "You're not imposing. I'm offering." She raised one eyebrow. "Unless you have somewhere else you need to be?" I looked at Brianna curled up on the couch, breathing slowly. I looked at her mom waiting for my answer with this expression I couldn't read. Then I thought about driving back to my empty apartment and lying awake all night replaying everything that happened. "Okay," I heard myself say. "If you're really sure, then yeah. Thank you. I'll stay." Mrs. Costa smiled then, and it completely changed her face. "Good. Come on, I'll show you where everything is." I followed her up the stairs, and my mind was going 1,000,000 miles an hour. What had I just agreed to? Why did she want me to stay? And what was going to happen tomorrow morning when Brianna woke up and realized I'd spent the night at her childhood home? I had no answers, and somehow that made my hands start shaking all over again. The guest room was small, but clean. There was a bed with this floral comforter that looked like it hadn't been changed since the 90s, and a dresser with more family photos on top. "Mrs." Costa pointed out where the bathroom was down the hall and told me to help myself to anything I needed. "Thank you again, Mrs. Costa," I said, standing awkwardly in the doorway. "I really appreciate this." "Call me Angela," she said. Then she looked at me with this expression that was almost amused. "And Tyler, my daughter doesn't bring boys around, ever. So the fact that you're here, even by accident, tells me something." Before I could figure out how to respond to that, she said goodnight and closed the door. I sat on the edge of the bed and put my face in my hands. What the hell was I doing? This was insane. I'd gone from having a normal Friday night to confessing mutual feelings with my coworker to sleeping in her mom's guest room in the span of like 5 hours. I pulled out my phone and saw 3 texts from Marcus. Dude, where are you? You left with Brianna? Bro, answer me. I texted back. Long story, I'm fine, we'll explain tomorrow. And then turned off my phone, because I couldn't deal with his questions right now. I tried to sleep, but my brain wouldn't shut off. I kept replaying the conversation with Brianna at the bar. The way she'd looked at me when she said she thought I was cute. How her head felt on my shoulder. And then I'd remember that she was passed out drunk downstairs and probably wouldn't even remember half of what she said, and my stomach would drop. At some point, I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, sunlight was coming through the window, and I could smell coffee and something cooking. I checked my phone. It was 8:15. I'd slept in my jeans and t-shirt from last night, and I probably looked like complete garbage. I could hear voices downstairs. Female voices. One was definitely Angela, but the other one sounded younger and way more panicked. I opened the door quietly and stood at the top of the stairs, trying to decide if I should go down or wait up here until someone came to get me. "Mama, I cannot believe you let him stay here," Brianna was saying. Her voice was hoarse like she had the worst hangover of her life. "That's so embarrassing. Where is he? Is he still here? Oh my God, I'm gonna die." "He's upstairs sleeping and you need to calm down," Angela said. "He seems like a nice boy. He drove you all the way here and didn't complain once, even when you gave him the wrong address. I know, but still, this is literally my worst nightmare. Well, what if he thinks I'm a total mess? What if he doesn't even remember what we talked about last night? Mama, what did I do?" There was a pause, and I heard the sound of a coffee mug being set down. "Brianna," Angela said, and her voice was softer now. "Do you like this boy?" Another pause, longer this time. "Yeah," Brianna said quietly. "Yeah, I really do." "Then stop panicking. Go shower, make yourself feel human again, and then talk to him like a normal person. And eat something. You look terrible." I heard footsteps coming toward the stairs, and I basically ran back into the guest room and shut the door as quietly as I could. My heart was pounding again. She liked me. She actually liked me, and she still remembered from last night. A few minutes later, there was a soft knock on the door. "Tyler?" It was Angela's voice. You awake?" I opened the door, trying to look like I hadn't just been eavesdropping. "Yeah, good morning. Sorry I slept so late." "It's fine. Come downstairs. I made breakfast. Brianna's in the shower, but she'll be down soon." The kitchen smelled amazing. Angela had made eggs and bacon and toast, and there was fresh coffee in a pot on the counter. She handed me a plate and told me to sit. "You didn't have to do all this," I said. "I always cook too much anyway." She sat down across from me with her own coffee. "So Tyler, tell me about yourself. What do you do at this company with my daughter?" And just like that, I was being interrogated by Brianna's mom while eating scrambled eggs at 8:30 in the morning. She asked about my job, where I grew up, what my family was like, what my plans were. It felt like a job interview, except way more intense, because this woman was clearly trying to figure out if I was good enough for her daughter. I answered everything as honestly as I could. Told her about my parents back in Colorado, about how I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do long term, but I was figuring it out, about how I'd always wanted to live in a bigger city. She listened carefully and nodded, and I couldn't tell if I was passing or failing whatever test this was. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs, and my whole body tensed up. Brianna walked into the kitchen, and our eyes met, and everything else just disappeared. That she'd showered and changed into sweatpants and an oversized t-shirt, and her hair was still damp. She looked nervous and hopeful and beautiful, and I forgot how to breathe for a second. "Hi," she said. "Hi," I said back. Angela stood up. "I'm going to go check on something upstairs. You two talk." And then she left, and it was just me and Brianna standing in her mom's kitchen, and neither of us knew what to say. Brianna grabbed a mug and poured herself coffee with shaky hands. She didn't look at me, and I could see her face was red. "So," she finally said, "last night was really something, huh?" "Yeah, it was." She sat down at the table, but like 2 chairs away from me, which felt like a mile. She wrapped both hands around her coffee mug, like she was trying to warm them up, even though it wasn't cold in the house. I'm really sorry," she said quietly, "about giving you the wrong address and making you deal with my mom and just everything. I'm sure this wasn't how you wanted to spend your Friday night. Brianna, it's fine. Really. It's not fine, though. I got way too drunk and said things I probably shouldn't have said, and now you're stuck here having breakfast with my mom, interrogating you, and I just feel like such an idiot." My stomach dropped. "Wait, do you not remember what you said?" She looked up at me then, and her eyes were watery. "No, I remember. I remember everything. That's the problem." "Why is that a problem?" She laughed, but it came out wrong. "Because Tyler, I basically threw myself at you while I was drunk off my ass. And now you probably think I'm this messy person who can't handle her alcohol and says stupid things she doesn't mean. And I don't know. I ruined everything." I moved to the chair next to her without thinking. "You didn't ruin anything. And you didn't say anything stupid. I told you I thought you were cute. That's pretty stupid." "Why is that stupid?" "Because we work together, and it makes things complicated. And what if you didn't feel the same way? And now I've made everything weird between us and—" "Brianna." I put my hand over hers on the table, and she stopped talking. "I told you last night I think you're cute too. Did you think I was just saying that to be nice?" She looked down at our hands. "I don't know. Maybe. People say things they don't mean when they're drunk. I had 2 beers the entire night, and I was completely sober when I said that." Her eyes met mine, and I could see her trying to figure out if I was telling the truth. "Really? Really? I've thought you were cute since like the 2nd week you started working there. I just didn't think you'd ever be interested in someone like me." "Someone like you? Tyler, you're literally the nicest person in that entire office. You always help people even when you're busy, and you remember weird details about everyone, and you have this smile that makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay, even when work is stressful, and I've wanted to tell you all this for months, but I was too scared." My heart was doing that thing again, where it felt like it was gonna explode. "I didn't know you noticed any of that stuff." "Of course I noticed. I notice everything about you. There's like how you always get to work exactly 10 minutes early, and you drink your coffee black, even though I can tell you don't really like it that way. And you do this thing where you run your hand through your hair when you're thinking really hard about something." I realized I was doing exactly that right now, and dropped my hand. She laughed for real this time, and it was the best sound. "So," I said, "just to be completely clear, you like me, and I like you, and we both know this now." "Yeah, I guess we do. So what do we do about it?" She bit her lip. "I don't know. We still work together. That could get complicated." "It could, or it could be fine. What if it doesn't work out, though? What if we try this and it goes bad, and then we have to see each other every day at work, and it's awful?" I squeezed her hand. "Well, what if it does work out?" She smiled then. This small, hopeful smile that made me want to kiss her right there in her mom's kitchen. But I didn't, because that felt like moving too fast. "Can we just take it slow?" she asked. "Like maybe go on an actual date where I'm sober and not making a complete fool of myself?" "I would really like that." "Okay. Good." She squeezed my hand back. "Tyler?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for taking care of me last night, and for staying, and for not thinking I'm a total disaster." "I don't think you're a disaster. I think you're pretty amazing, actually." Her face turned red again, but she was smiling so wide. We sat there holding hands across the kitchen table, and everything felt right in a way I'd never experienced before. And then we heard footsteps coming back down the stairs, and we quickly pulled our hands apart like we were teenagers, getting caught by our parents. Angela walked back in and looked between us with this knowing expression. "Everything okay in here?" "Yeah, Mama," Brianna said. "Everything's good." "Good. Tyler, you should probably eat more. You barely touched your food. And Brianna, you need to eat something too. You look like death." "Gee, thanks, Mom." Angela smiled and ruffled Brianna's hair as she walked past. "I'm going to run to the store. You two behave yourselves." After she left, Brianna looked at me and started laughing. "I cannot believe this is my life right now." "Which part?" "All of it. This whole weird, perfect morning." "Yeah," I said. "Me neither." And I meant it. 12 hours ago, I was sitting on my couch planning to waste my Friday night alone. Now I was sitting in a kitchen holding hands with a girl I'd been crazy about for months, making plans for our first real date. Sometimes life surprises you in the best possible way. We ended up spending the whole morning at her mom's house. Angela came back from the store with groceries and insisted on making us lunch even though we'd just had breakfast like 2 hours ago. She made these amazing Italian sandwiches and kept telling embarrassing stories about Brianna as a kid. "Mama, please stop," Brianna kept saying, but she was laughing, so I knew she didn't really mind. Around 2 in the afternoon, we finally said goodbye. Angela hugged me at the door, which surprised me, but also felt really nice. Like she was giving us her approval or something. You come back anytime, Tyler," she said. "And you take care of my girl, okay?" "Yes, ma'am. I mean, Angela. I will." Brianna rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. We got in her car, and I drove us to her actual apartment this time. It was this small place in a complex near downtown, with plants all over the balcony. She invited me up for coffee, even though we'd both had like 3 cups already, and I said yes because I wasn't ready to leave yet. Her apartment was exactly what I expected. Cozy and colorful with string lights everywhere, and photos covering the walls and books stacked on every surface. It felt like her. We sat on her couch, and there was this nervousness between us that hadn't been there at her mom's house. Like now that we were alone, everything felt more real. "So," she said, "about that date." "Yeah?" "Are you free next Saturday? There's this new Mexican place that opened near the river, and I've been wanting to try it." "I'm definitely free. Saturday works perfect." "Okay, good." She tucked her hair behind her ear. "And Tyler? Can we maybe not tell people at work right away? Not because I'm embarrassed or anything, but just because I want this to be ours for a little bit, before everyone starts asking questions and making it weird." "That makes sense. Yeah, let's keep it between us for now." She smiled and moved closer to me on the couch. "I still can't believe this is happening. Like yesterday we were just coworkers who smiled at each other in the hallway, and now we're planning dates. Life moves fast sometimes." "Yeah, it does." She looked at me with those eyes, and my heart started racing again. "Tyler, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Last night when I told you I liked you, were you actually surprised, or did you already kind of know?" I thought about it. Honestly, I had no idea. I hoped maybe you did, but I'd convinced myself I was imagining things. That's funny because I thought I was being so obvious. Like I'd always find excuses to talk to you, and I laughed at all your jokes, even the bad ones, and I'd get excited when I saw your car in the parking lot. I did the same thing with your car. Every morning I'd look for it. "That's so cute, oh my God." We were sitting really close now, close enough that I could smell her shampoo and see the little flecks of gold in her eyes. My hand found hers, and she laced our fingers together. "Can I kiss you?" I asked, and my voice came out quieter than I meant it to. I thought you'd never ask. When our lips met, it felt like everything clicked into place. Like this was exactly where I was supposed to be. The kiss was soft and sweet, and when we pulled apart, she was smiling so big. That was worth waiting 6 months for, she said. Definitely worth it. We spent the rest of the afternoon just talking and laughing and kissing on her couch like teenagers. At some point, I ordered us pizza because neither of us wanted to move, and we ate it straight from the box while watching some show on Netflix that neither of us paid attention to. But around 7, I finally forced myself to leave, because I knew if I stayed any longer, I'd never want to go home. She walked me to the door and kissed me one more time. "Text me when you get home safe," she said. "I will. I'll see you Saturday." Can't wait. I drove back to my apartment with this stupid smile on my face that wouldn't go away. Marcus was on the couch playing video games when I walked in, and he literally threw his controller across the room when he saw me. "Dude, where have you been? I've been texting you all day." "I told you I'd explain later." "Well, it's later now, so start explaining." So I told him everything. The whole crazy story from the bar to Brianna's confession to staying at her mom's house to kissing on her couch this afternoon. By the end of it, Marcus was just staring at me with his mouth open. "Bro," he said, "and that's literally the most romantic thing I've ever heard. You're living in a movie right now. It does kind of feel that way. So when's the wedding?" Marcus, shut up. He laughed and threw a pillow at me. "I'm happy for you, man. Seriously. Brianna seems really cool." "She is. She's like really special. Look at you all in love and stuff. It's disgusting. I'm proud of you." That night, I laid in bed thinking about how one random decision to go to a work party had changed everything. If Marcus hadn't dragged me out of the apartment, I would have missed it all. I would have missed Brianna telling me how she felt, and Angela inviting me to stay, and those perfect hours this morning figuring out what this thing between us could be. My phone buzzed with a text from Brianna. "Thank you for today. For everything." And I can't stop smiling. I texted back, "Me neither. Sleep well. Good night, Tyler. Dream about me." I fell asleep with my phone in my hand, and I did dream about her. About green dresses and wrong addresses and kitchen conversations, and a whole future I couldn't wait to see unfold. Sometimes, the best things in life happen when you least expect them. When you say yes to things that scare you and take chances on people who make your hands shake and stay even when it would be easier to leave. And sometimes drunk friends and protective moms and wrong addresses lead you exactly where you're supposed to be. I wouldn't change a single thing about that night. Not one thing.